morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's College Sports Huddle. How's everybody doing tonight? Just off the Wednesday night unprofessional professional show, and we certainly lived up to our name tonight, but we had a lot of fun, and I hope some of you guys were with us, I know, and hopefully we can have some fun here tonight as well. Let me get this music off of here so we can hear something. How you guys doing? I want to welcome everybody watching tonight on the McGrath Podcast Network, everybody on YouTube, Twitter. By the way, catch out the other shows on McGrath Podcast Network, our roundtable shows on Wednesday at 6 p.m. just before this show, 6 p.m. Eastern, Sunday morning, 8 p.m. Eastern, before my Sunday Stream of Consciousness. You can catch Bo's shows every morning, I believe at 9 a.m. Eastern. Brian and James doing a movie show now. You've also got all of Sonia's shows, Football from a Lady's Perspective, Friday Night with the Fellas. Lots of great shows and lots more coming your way. So check them out now, or at least get back and check them out after the fact. And also want to thank all the groups that allow us to share. You see a lot of our favorites always scrolling at the bottom. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Gregor Rawlings from America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball. Doesn't apply so much today, except for maybe we'll get into a little college baseball as we go forward here. Flo and Can over at Bottom Line Sports, they shared their show the other night. Got a little late start, but I did get it shared. They do some fun stuff too. Two really great guys, and we appreciate their support. And Let's Talk Sports, where Flo and Can stream a lot of their podcasts too as well. And Ken Krause at Golf Bud Sports of all sorts. And a quick shout out to Ralph Williams, over at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, national, I should say, Pittsburgh focused. That's where he's from. And national footprint. Been a guest there several times on the Sports Corner with him and Smoking Jim Frazier from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. So check that out. We're going to jump into a lot of different stuff tonight. Hello, AC. How are you? We'll get into some news and notes around men's, college basketball, college football. We're going to start having more of a football focus again as we lead up to the draft, and we'll get through the draft and draft analysis, and then we'll take our little sabbatical through some of the summer months. We'll decide when we're going to do that here coming up probably May-ish. We'll see where that goes, but we'll get into a little bit of draft talk tonight. I'm going to take a look at the 2026 future odds for the national championship. I believe Ohio State's first, Notre Dame second, and Indiana third right now. We'll get into some other ones. We'll look at some of the transfer portal winners. I guess in the end, his biggest question is going to be quarterback, right? We'll look at some of the coaching ratings. And if we don't get to some of this stuff tonight, we'll get to it in future weeks. Again, we'll look at some draft stuff. Is Ruben Bain going to be affected by the revelations that he was driving this car where another young person was killed here a few years ago? I don't really know. Great player. I don't know all the circumstances of that event, and we'll have to see. Where Jeremiah Love gets drafted will be interesting. Also, running back two, if you will, the second pick in this draft, the second running back pick in this draft, when's it going to come? I don't think it may not come till the third round, and it's very likely to be his running mate at Notre Dame, Price. If he's to go before late second round, watch out for the Seahawks at 32, maybe sneaking a pick in there. I don't know. Just a feeling that I got in looking at this over today. College basketball, Caleb Wilson has officially said he's not coming back to UNC after teasing that he might. He's going to declare for the draft, and North Carolina gets a 5-star recruit has also reneged on going to UNC. So things not starting off great for Mike Malone. He did poach a player from Virginia Tech, which we might get into a little bit too. And maybe we'll look at the college baseball rankings as well. We'll see what's what. Hello, Chris F. Grave. How are you? You know, good question. And if they have, it's another example of caving to political correctness. But let's just see. Is Notre Dame still using the fighting? Isn't it exciting when I talk out my typing? Yes, the University of Notre Dame still uses the Fighting Irish as its official nickname. As of 2025 of August of that month, the school introduced a new updated leprechaun where he's not fighting. That was a bit of controversy there. He doesn't have his fists up anymore. But they did not drop the Fighting Irish. It is still the official nickname and has been since 1927. So still a little... who should the Bears draft? They don't need center. Let me. I got a little cheat sheet here. Let me just find it here real quick. So Chicago. Let's see what Chicago really kind of needs to be looking at here. How do I get this to... here we go. Boy, do they have a first-round pick? I'm not sure if they have a first-round pick. AC, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, let me take a quick look at. Yeah, I got some notes on my thoughts on my mock drafts, and I don't know where I had the Bears, quite frankly. This is not considering any trades. Oh, TJ Parker, they're drafting 25th. TJ Parker, the edge rusher from Clemson, is the guy that I have stuck in there for the Bears. Do I think that's going to happen necessarily? Not really. Because a lot of things happen. A lot of trades are going to happen in this draft, I think. This isn't one of the most exciting drafts. I mean, a lot of chatter about Fernando Mendoza, obviously. A lot of chatter about the edge rushers in general. There's a lot of linebacker edge-type players. I think that's where the real strength of this draft is. Jeremiah Love might fall in this draft because of the running backs and not wanting to pay them big money. That's another story in this draft. The wide receivers, I don't find all that exciting. I think you've got three guys. You've got Tate, you've got Tyson, and you have there's another guy. He's out of my mind right now. Let me get rid of that. I want to go to wide receiver right now. Who's the other guy I was thinking of here? PFF ranking. Oh, Micaiah Lemon from USC or South Carolina. Sorry, or no, USC. I mix my SCs up sometime. So it's an interesting draft. I think you can find some steals late in this draft, and I think you're going to see a lot of busts maybe in these first round picks, because this is not what you would call the best draft we've seen in the last 10 years. CBS Radio, by the way, which is out of business as of, I don't know what the date is, but CBS has shut down CBS Radio, which I've been listening to for years. CBS Radio Mystery Theater, by the way, when I was a kid, under my pillow. There won't be much left. There'll be no more CBS Radio here very, very soon. Whether we're talking news or sports, it will be gone. Sleeps Monster, when it comes to college football talk, the world could be cracked in half and burning at the core, but a stream of college football talk would trickle over the top. Maybe sports will stay. Maybe I'm wrong about that, Chris, actually, more I think about it. I'm thinking about the changes I know that are coming to CBS News, the CBS News division, and shutting down CBS. The news radio department, I know, is officially happening. But CBS does a lot of sports 24/7 on TV and on radio. So Yeah, so I think Edge. I like the kid I talked about from Clemson as the pick for. Now I've already forgotten his name. TJ Parker for Clemson. Means nothing. Don't take it to the bank. Hello, Danny. Good to see you, my friend. You know what? Jeremiah Love is a very interesting case. Everybody has had him locked. A lot of people have had him locked in at Tennessee at number 4. I think if he slips, there's a lot of. I've seen some mock drafts in the last week that have him falling out of the top 10. 10 teams pass on this guy. 10 teams are going to be really upset. He's going to be a great player in the NFL in my mind. He's got all the tools. He fits perfect with that Giant offense. And again, I'm not a Giant fan, Danny. But I think Jeremiah Love could be a piece that really gets the Giants moving in the right direction. The culture change that's already underway with John Harbaugh is going to be quite interesting. We've already seen that happen. We've seen some of the coaches and whatnot that he's brought in there, and it's going to be a big difference in that locker room, the training room, on the practice field. Jackson Dart is their guy. You know, if you were to redo the draft from 2 years ago, Jackson Dart might very well be the number 1 pick. And they got to get him some weapons. Obviously, getting Neighbors back will be key, but they need a little bit more help. They lost Wendell Robinson, so they need help on the outside, and they need a running game. Cam Scatteraboo, who I like a lot, is not a guy that you're going to be able to count on to play, 17 games a year. Not the way he plays. And carry the ball 20, 25 times a game. Now, putting Love in the backfield with him and utilizing both their talents, I think would make this team really, really dangerous at some point. Whether it's this year or a year from now, this team is going to start to get better. But I think the Jeremiah Love story is one of the bigger ones at his draft. Where does he go? If he falls, again, if he falls, it's only because teams don't want to pay running backs the money that, top 5 pick's going to get. May 22nd is CBS Radio's last broadcast. I'm not sure I don't think it affects the sports division, though. The more I think about it, as I was talking to Chris's point, I'm pretty sure that affects only the news division, I think. I grew up listening to CBS Radio, as I said. The CBS Radio Mystery Theater, I don't know whether you guys know it or not. If you're of a certain age, you certainly do. But there wasn't a night that came on at 11 o'clock at night, and there wasn't a night for about 8 years in my childhood that I didn't go to bed with that under my pillow. E.G. Marshall was the narrator, and they told all these great, great radio mysteries. It was awesome. Giants need love. Oh, Reggie Lashley, good to have you with us. They do need love. And I think it'd be good listen, the Giants being good, we talk about this a lot. And we'll probably, the next couple of weeks, this is our college football show, right? But the NFL is going to be a big topic of conversation because of the draft. And we talk about, certain sports, or maybe all sports, are better when certain teams are good, right? College football's better when Alabama's good and Notre Dame's good and other teams, Ohio State, Michigan. It's just better. The NFL is better when the Giants are good. They're better when the Cowboys are good. So I think the league really wants this team to get better. Reggie Love, I think, accelerates the Giants trend up, Reggie, greatly. I don't remember, Reggie. I know you told me a couple of weeks ago who your team was. I don't remember. My mind is bad these days. We've also seen how Harbaugh handles his running backs. Well, that's a fair point, Danny, for sure. A lot of questions about how he handled his running back this year for sure in certain situations. The Patriot game alone. But I was trying to think. I was going to say not Jamal Lewis, but he didn't coach him. And that was Brian Billick. I think they'd be crazy not to. I mean, they need a lot of help, so you could see them trade out of that spot, Reggie, for more picks in this draft or future drafts. I mean, they need a lot, in my mind. But I mean, again, running backs. I know the NFL thinks that running backs are a dime a dozen, and you can just plug anybody in. But some guys you just can't pass on. The Saquon Barkleys, the McCaffreys. And I think Love is that kind of back. Yeah, can you replace, Ramondre Stevenson, who I love, by the way? Can you find another guy to replace what he does? Yeah. But there's certain guys who have it. There's two guys I thought of, and there's probably a couple others that I'm not thinking of. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs, that are talented enough that you just can't say it's plug and play. We'll plug somebody else in that position. I think Jeremiah Love is that player. So do you think Love would get the ball more? And this goes to Danny's question too, right? This is your question. Do you think Love would get the ball more in Harbaugh's offensive scheme of things with the Giants? Derrick Henry, thank you. I couldn't come up with the name. Danny saw me struggling, apparently. I don't know. It depends on situation. There was also reasons Derrick Henry didn't get the ball as much as maybe he would have liked, or other fans would have liked. When your running back's turning the ball over. I saw it for years, by the way, in New England when Bill Belichick, it didn't matter who the running back was. If you fumbled the football, you were just as likely never to see it again that day as if you were. So Henry had trouble holding on to the football. It'll be very important for him to take care of the football. You also got to remember that he's got Jackson Dart back there, and this team is going to be built around him. But I think a combination of Love and Scadaboo, a healthy Scadaboo, would be a good thing for the Giants. Listen, I think Harbaugh gets a bad rap. I think John Harbaugh, and I haven't always liked some of his crying on the sideline, especially when it comes to games against my team. But he's a great coach. Baltimore Raven fans can only wish that they will do as well the next 18 years as they've done the last. That's all I'll say about that. I'll try to keep this more on the draft than about Harbaugh, but and Love could fall further, right? I mean, or there could be a trade. I want to look at the whole order. I don't have it up in front of me here. I mean, who comes after them? So you've got the Raiders. We know where they're going. We got the Jets. The Jets aren't going to take a running back, obviously. Cardinals aren't going to take a running back. They need too much, and they're not going to pay him. The Titans, if they're smart, they take Love. The Giants, if he gets to 6, do the Browns take him? I tell you this, there's a good chance he falls to 7. He doesn't get past 7 in my mind. Another place I think he'd be a great fit. Playing in that backfield with Daniels. I think the team formerly known as the Redskins would make a comeback pretty quick. Jacksonville should reach for Love. Trevor could really use that kind of help. I mean, he had a decent running back, but they let him walk. But they're going to have to trade way up, no? Where do they draft? I mean, he's certainly not falling to them. at, where the hell are they? Do they even have a first-round draft pick? Patriots. Logos are too small here in this screen. That's the Panthers. I don't even know if they got a first-round draft pick, AC. I mean, and so they got to trade way up. That's going to take a lot. You're a giant man, Reggie. All right, that's good. Buckeye Irving. I think this isn't an overly talented draft, but I think it's going to be a very exciting draft because I think a lot of things can happen during this couple of days. And we will on the McGath Podcast Network, and I will also share it to my platforms. We will be doing a draft show. Confirm that with Brian. You'll see some promos get started for it. And I'll make sure we run them on our platforms as well. Next Thursday night at 7. And that Friday morning, by the way, Jack and myself will be on live at 7 a.m. And not 8. I've got an obligation that I've got to be able to get to by 9 o'clock. So Jack and I are going to go live from 7 to 8. And then we'll replay that show at 8 o'clock. Stop the game. You're fine. I thought about this a lot, by the way, and I think I probably get too worried about not. And the reason I get to be a stickler is because when I share the show, and I think going off topic, and again, the NFL now I think is relevant to the college world because of the draft, and even baseball. We talk a little bit of something else a little along the way. I don't care. I may want to make sure off the top we don't get onto something else because of the groups that I share to afterwards. Again, this is going to dozens of college groups, and I don't want to turn them off by having too much talk outside of college sports. But I don't want to come off as, don't ever bring up anything else, especially when you're going to mention the Yankees are ahead. Oh, wait. Oh, they are ahead. Sorry. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that isn't a Ryan McMahon home run. Let me get the Yankee game on here, by the way. I have my own needs I need to fill. So we'll get them on. They're probably on Prime. I can't figure out where the hell they are, but I think they're on Prime tonight. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, Patriots are going offensive lineman. I think the kid from there's an offensive lineman from Alabama that I'm pretty sure they're going to grab in the first. Well, again, it all depends. If Amari Cooper falls to them at 31, they might take a wide receiver. If Mesidor should fall to them, which, again, I don't see either one of those things happen, I think they might take Mesidor. The other thing is if Sakeed, how do you say the kid's name from Oregon, the tight end? Is it Sakeed? Let me get off of this. I got wide receivers up here. Who's the kid? The kid I like. He's probably going to go like. I've heard the Rams possibly taking him. By the way, Sadiq, Kenyan Sadiq. Love this kid. If he were to fall to 31, it's possible. I don't see him getting past 14 or 15. So the guy that I had earmarked right now, let me try to get to my page here. Too many teams. And it changes every day. That's why I got to go look. That's not what I was looking for. That's why I got the wrong freaking notes up. Just bear with me 1 second, if you would. Because that's not what I had up. Oh, there we go. I knew it was here somewhere. I like Blake. There's two guys I like. Offensive tackle Blake Miller out of Clemson. and the kid out of Alabama. What is his name? We're having that type of night tonight, I'll tell you. I believe he's a guard and tackle. Maybe he's not out of Alabama. I might have that mixed up. Bear with me 1 second. So Patriots need, they need edge rushers. Not getting any of these guys. I love it when they put these guys in here that they got absolutely no shot of getting. Well, Caden Proctor is a guy that I'd watch out for, too, out of Alabama. He's another guy. I think he'll be gone by the time they get to the Patriots, quite frankly. TJ Parker could be a shot for them, too, if they want to go on the edge. I mentioned him for the Bears earlier. But there was a guy who, quite frankly, he feels too much like Cole Strange for the Patriots to take him. And now I'm losing the note I had where I had this guy. Damn. Yeah, my notes seem to get lost sometimes. In any event, well, those are the guys. The guy is a long shot that I was thinking of. So the Patriots could go anywhere, depending on who falls and who doesn't. If everything stays the way it is, I would look for him to take an offensive lineman, and the kid from Clemson or the kids from Alabama would be the guy I'd be looking at. You think the Pats will trade up to get the best cornerback in the draft? They've already got the best cornerback in the NFL. I don't know that they're going to really focus on defensive back here, but anything is possible in this draft. Cornerback is another place where there's a couple of good guys early. They're not going to get Caleb Downs, obviously. That's too much of a reach for this team. Who are the other good guys out here? Let's just take a quick look at the cornerbacks since we're on that. Okay, so how did I get this guy? This is kind of weird. I know that's not the right ranking. Let's try that again. Why am I getting... Oh, because he's a safety, that's why. So Delane... I don't like these cornerbacks. I mean, these are not guys that I'd be trading up to get, quite frankly. Delane, McCoy, Terrell, Hood, Pons. That's not even guys I got to trade up for. Most of these guys I don't need to trade up for. There's only a handful of guys you could trade up for. Well, Belichick's not the coach anymore, like Vrabel is, and they're going to pay Gonzalez what he needs to get. I would bet on it. They still got a pretty good cap margin. I think you'll see Gonzalez get his money. And they don't have to pay him just yet either. But again, if you don't, the price tag keeps going up on cornerbacks and wide receivers and quarterbacks. So. Mendoza's still looking like the first pick. I mean, I don't see any way that's going to change. The question is going to be for him, is he ready to play? We know that they signed Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins says he's happy to sit if Mendoza is a better quarterback. That's an interesting thing to say because that won't be his decision. And Jackie Robinson night in baseball, by the way, tonight. Everybody wearing number 42. It's always a cool night. Not baseball related, I know. So anyway, Kirk Cousins. And I think Kirk Cousins is a good team guy. I mean, he's not going to come out Now, I've gained a lot of respect watching 2 seasons of him on I think it was called Quarterback on Netflix. One year he was with Minnesota, and that was his first year in Atlanta, the second time. And Kirk Cousins is a guy that I gained a lot of respect for. Maybe not as a winning championship caliber NFL quarterback, but certainly as a person, I gained a lot of respect for him as a teammate and a person. And if you get a chance to watch that, and again, I understand reality TV stops being reality once the cameras roll, but I felt like what I saw a lot was genuine. He wanted to play, but he understood why he wasn't. So he should, Reggie, because I will tell you this much. I do not think in any way, shape, or form Fernando Mendoza or anybody else in this draft class is ready to start day one. Mendoza is going to need a lot of work. Ty Simpson, PFF has still got him ranked 42, but a lot of chatter about the Rams taking him where second round, Danny. There's still talk about the Jets taking him with their second first round pick. To me, that'd be a huge leap. And you may have other teams looking for quarterbacks in this first round. Nobody should be a first round draft pick except Mendoza. And Mendoza I would not be picking in the top 10, quite frankly. If you've watched me enough, you know what my thinking is about taking quarterbacks. Number one, taking quarterbacks in the first round overall does not in any way, shape, or form guarantee you a Super Bowl. Because many more first round picks have flamed out than have won. That's not saying that first round quarterbacks aren't the ones winning Super Bowls in most of them. But the problem is you got to really roll the dice and get it right to get the right one. So I would not be wasting top 10 picks on quarterbacks. I really wouldn't. They don't work. You think Ty goes to the Jets at 16 or in the second round? Because, again, PFS has got him ranked 42 right now. And, that's just one source, right? So I'm not a fan. I think it's possible he becomes a better quarterback than Mendoza in the NFL. That doesn't in any way, shape, or form say you've got a future Hall of Famer on your hands. But there's a lot. We'll get into a lot more of this too, and we can talk more draft. I'm not shutting you guys out of the draft. I just want to get to a couple other news of notes. Arch Manning is going into this first round. So with the 16th pick. Listen, he's had a good. If there's a quarterback, to me, if there's a quarterback who has improved his draft stock in this, lead up to the draft, it's probably Ty Simpson. Well, they got Geno for now, right? Geno's a 1-year stopgap. We know that. So I would fully expect the Jets to take a quarterback in this draft. And it could very well be Ty Simpson. I just don't know if it would be at 16. But we'll see. Reggie, I did try to send you a private message too, by the way, and I did it from TGI Sports Talk, and it didn't go through, just so you know. I know we had talked about chatting outside of the show, and I wasn't able to get through to you. And for whatever reason, I don't know if I don't think we're friends on my personal page, and we certainly should be. And as I looked you up, I wasn't sure I had the right guy, so I didn't want to send a friend request. So let's try to make that happen if we can. So some news in college football. Sherrone Moore avoids jail. There's one lucky guy. Is there any luckier guy right now in the world of sports not named Tiger Woods, than Sherrone Moore. I mean, this guy had some bad judgment. Did some things that were pretty scary. Threatened his mistress. He threatened his own life, and thank God he only had a butter knife. I hope he's getting the help that he needs. I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to make fun of Sherrone Moore, but I think he should thank his lucky stars because, again, most of us, all of us, hopefully, are smart enough not to make the decisions that Sherrone Moore made and put ourselves in that position. But I'm pretty sure that if any of us did, we'd be going to jail. The question is going to become, will he coach again? He's not getting a head coaching job again, at least on the top 2 levels of college football. He'll potentially get, and it won't be for a year or 2, I would say. And I'm sure maybe the lawyers have eaten up his money, but he should have some money to be able to kind of wait out another job. He's not going to get back into a power conference as a coordinator right away. He's going to have to take a position coaching job if he wants back in and hope to rehabilitate his reputation and work his way back up to, probably through the, maybe even at below FBS Division I and maybe in the lower league, FBC, the FBC, I think it's the FBC, right? We'll see. But I think he should be probably count his stars there. Iowa's been forced to vacate wins from 2023 because of tampering with Cade McKay while he was still at Michigan. Tampering in college. I mean, come on. Everybody's tampering with everybody all the time. Until we set these rules down. There is something I want to take there. I think I did, Reggie. I think I did find Sideline Sportcast and follow it. But do me a favor. Yeah, do send me your info if you could. If you look on Facebook, you'll find me at Keith Engle, KEITHNENGLE, just like it says on the screen when you see it. And I'm pretty sure I did follow Sideline Sports, though. Pretty sure. So we'll get that together. And if I didn't, I'll look again tonight. So that's one piece of news in college football. Luke Fickell probably lost his biggest advocate at Wisconsin when athletic director Chris McIntosh has said he's leaving. If he'd left sooner, Luke, and I like Luke Fickell a lot, may not have a job this year. So we'll see what happens with that. Bobby Bowden's name has been added. Or is it? Bobby Bowden's name has been added to the airport near Florida State's campus now in Tallahassee. Ron DeSantis made that announcement. It's now the Bobby Bowden Tallahassee International Airport. Not the biggest airport in the world, but still a nice little honor for Bobby Bowden. Yeah, I don't know what that means there. There's some talk, too, by the way, which affects both the NFL and, the NFL. Well, it does affect the NFL, the NBA, and college basketball and college football, where some new rules, some of what was put into place by the Presidential Commission that met, or the groundwork was laid for, by the Presidential Commission that met, 3-4 weeks ago in Washington. Some of those were, 5 years to play 4, 1 transfer without penalty. You'd still be able to transfer if your coach left and things like that, but you wouldn't be able to transfer every single year like you're having these guys. But one thing I found out about today, and there's some other things, but one thing I read about today was that if you declared for the draft in the NBA or the NFL, would not affect Major League Baseball because they don't enter the draft. In the NFL, unless you've used up all your eligibility, you declare for the draft in the NBA or the NBA draft, you declare for the NFL draft. If you were to enter the draft and not remove your name, you cannot go back to college, which would be, and again, it hasn't happened in football, I don't think yet, but we've seen several instances. A kid went back to Baylor this year after being drafted by Detroit. We've seen some G League players who have come back, but nobody drafted. I think in the NBA, there's only that one, and college basketball, there's been that one instance. And the kid's name is escaping me, but he went to Baylor, and ironically, he's in the transfer portal now. But if you were to enter a draft and not remove yourself from consideration before that draft, you would be ineligible to play any further college football or basketball. Now, we'll see if any of this stuff flies. This stuff, the powers that be would like to see these changes put into place for this year. I have my doubts, but we'll see. And I think it is something that would be important. Important for the world of college sports going forward. What's going on in the world of men's college basketball? Anything? Yes. Couple of things. I talked about Caleb Wilson. He's decided he's entering the NBA draft and not staying at UNC. First big loss for Michael Malone as the new coach there. And I do have another note, and I wanted to bring this up at the top, and I forgot. Wilkinson is going to leave. Jeremiah Wilkinson will leave Wilkinson and transfer to Arkansas. Another really good player for Arkansas. Darling, who hit the big game winner for St. John's in their NCAA win, will be transferring out as St. John's is bringing in a great player from Britain, of all places. Let's see if I can find his name for you real quickly. So St. John's Portal. Where are you? What is this guy's name? Can't find his name. Damn it! There it is. Quinn Ellis is the kid that they're bringing in, freshman guard from England. We'll see how that works out. He had been playing in the Euro League, so you're going to see a lot of professionals, and you already are seeing a lot of professionals from Europe play in college basketball. So we'll see. And that's just the first of many moves that are on their way for St. John. So be aware of that. And I am going to give you, I want to go back to, we're going to go back to college football in a second. But one more thing on college basketball. I want to send some best wishes because Dick Vitale, who is everything, embodies everything that is so fun about college basketball. And if you don't like Dick Vitale, I get it, but I don't get it at the same time, if that makes sense. Dick Vitale is undergoing more tests, and the tests have revealed that cancer has returned for it's a third time at least, maybe a fourth time for Dick Vitale. This time they have found it in the cavities of his lungs and his liver. He battled bravely these last few times. He had throat cancer in the past, and he had it somewhere else, maybe the lymph nodes. But he's really battled it as much as you can battle it. He's going to be 81 years old. This gets harder and harder as you get older and older. And we wish Dick Vitale the best. Our thoughts and prayers are with Dick Vitale. Dick Vitale helped make this college basketball tournament what it is. It's ironic that he's not able to do the tournament because he's never really worked he worked for ESPN when they first had it, and then when CBS realized this was a great thing, Dick Vitale was out of doing tournament games, which is really ironic since I think Dick Vitale was vital in helping make the NCAA tournament what it is today, and we wish him nothing but the best. AC says they do something about how the NHL can draft kids and let them play in college. Yeah, I don't know what that deal is. NBA kind of does the same thing in a way. They stash kids in Europe, which maybe won't happen anymore because those kids are going to be able to come play in college and maybe make more money than they're going to make in Europe. The NBA's done it for years, draft kids and then stash them in Europe. But the NHL, and these are how the rules are, though. You can't. Here's the thing, and this doesn't apply. I don't think this ruling, AC, applies to the NHL. Let me see if I can find the story that I found earlier. That's pretty funny. Where did I find that story? Must have been, I think it was in The Athletic. Let me try under college basketball. Let's see if I can find this story quick. Yeah, so the NCAA will require incoming players to turn down the NBA draft as college eligibility battles continue. So I don't think this affected. Yeah, it would not include Major League Baseball and the NHL because athletes do not declare for drafts in the NHL or in baseball. In the NBA and the NFL, they do declare. That's where the little hook that they're using to exclude those athletes. And Major League Baseball, I get. Kids are getting drafted in high school all the time, then they go to college. Now and I think, and you can tell me I'm wrong, AC, in baseball. So if I get drafted by a Major League Baseball team and I'm in high school and I go to college, you only retain my rights until the next draft and they're gone. I thought it was the same in the NHL, and I could very well be wrong. But we'll have to see. With the NIL stealing, I think it will be possible soon. By the way, the college Frozen Four was great this year, and it keeps getting better. Yes, and congratulations to Denver winning their third national championship in 5 years. So you got a budding dynasty there. Actually, it is a dynasty, I guess, right now in college hockey. Denver hasn't been considered a bastion of great college hockey in the past, but certainly has been for the last half a decade. So congratulations to them. The contracts in Europe are brutal, I suppose. I don't have that much insight on them. They keep players in Europe too long sometimes, meaning the NBA. I mean, this would be interesting because, I mean, as of right now, the NBA drafts 2 rounds. So if you were declared for the draft, so if I'm if I'm a college sophomore, if I'm Caleb Wilson, that won't happen to Caleb Wilson. If I'm Caleb Wilson and I declare for the draft and I don't get drafted in those 2 rounds, I can't go back to college. If this comes to fruition, which I think it should. I don't know the Henrik Lundqvist situation as well as I know Sabonis, but Sabonis didn't come until he was like 30 years old, right? But that was different. I don't think, and I don't know. Let me check Sabonis. Was Sabonis drafted by the Trailblazers and he had to stay in Europe for a long time? Let's see. Let me check out his Wikipedia and find out. Not helping. Wikipedia. Oh, I want to see. Professional career. He made his professional debut in 1981. He one of the oldest basketball teams in Lithuania. On one of the oldest teams in Lithuania. In 89, he left to sign with the Spanish team Liga. During the 1991-92 season, he helped them reach the playoffs. He was originally selected by the Hawks in the 77th pick with the 85 draft. However, the selection was voided because Sabonis was under 21 at the time of the draft. Following spring, he was drafted by Portland, which would have been 1986. And he finally played with Portland when? Man, he played a lot of freaking places. Look at his career highlights. You can barely find out. He didn't play with Portland until 1996. So that's a great example, and it goes back a long ways, of NBA teams. They couldn't get him, but they kept his rights for 10 years. Major League Baseball, that doesn't happen. You retain a guy till the next draft. That's it. And I'm guessing the NHL is probably the same way, maybe not. If that, I don't know how you get multiple rights. Well, again, we just saw it in the NBA. I don't think it works that way, because if you drafted a guy, you can't draft a guy in high school anymore in the NBA. We just talked about Atlanta drafting Sabonis years ago. That's 30 years ago, 40 years ago now. So things have probably changed since then, but it's a decent example of stashing guys. And you know what, Carlos? So if they wanted to get these guys out, if somebody wanted somebody from Europe sooner than 10 years that Portland waited for Sabonis, I guarantee you they could have got it done. In baseball, rights get dropped quick. Yeah, well, you got rights for a year until the next draft. But if a kid goes to college, you're not likely to keep that kid. Most colleges are drafted from really good junior teams, not in NHL. That's a great point. With the proliferation of Canadian players, right? They're not playing college; they're playing junior hockey. Great example. Some guys are drafted in juniors at 18. They can't be drafted before that, I don't believe. Play juniors till 21, then go to college. That brings them up a year or two later. And you're saying they've been drafted all this time? They get drafted in juniors at 18, so that's interesting. I'll have to look more into that, AC, because that's not a situation I'm all that familiar with. I don't know what league you can draft anybody in. Well, the international rules, I think you can play under 18 years old in the Euro League, right? I think. But the NBA teams can't draft them. The NHL and the MLB teams can't be drafting these guys. I want to see if I still have this up. So I wanted to talk about something that ought to be near and dear to CA's heart anyway. I may have to log back in here. Hold on. I'm going to use, and this is just one example, right? So we're logging in. Thank you. The way too early odds on college football's 27 champions. Ohio State and Notre Dame are tied as the first overall selection at plus 700. And Indiana, I'm sorry, there's a four-way tie. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Indiana, and Texas, all at plus 700. Ohio State with some question marks, although they got Sayin back. All these teams have their quarterbacks back except for Indiana. This is going to be very interesting. And I do think Indiana has what it takes to repeat. I don't think this is a one-off situation. I think Cignetti is a real deal. I think this team is built, and they've got a system in place where they're going to keep bringing guys in. I mean, we worry about quarterback with them, but they do have, Alberto Mendoza, who supposedly is approaching what Fernando was, before he got to Indiana, at least what he was at Cal. And And they did bring in Josh Hoover from TCU. So we'll see. But Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas all have young, experienced now quarterbacks. And that could be the piece that puts those three teams ahead of Indiana at the end of the day. No surprises here that much. Oregon plus 900, Georgia plus 1,100, LSU 13, Miami 15. Miami with Mensa, I think as far as the quarterbacks go, I mean, we talked about Sam Leavitt going to LSU. I would say it's a tie between Leavitt and Mensa, what is going to be the most impactful transfer portal movement, especially among the quarterbacks and probably overall in the world of college football. Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Alabama, Ole Miss. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oklahoma comes in at 13. USC tied with USC at 3,500. Michigan, Penn State. Michigan. I like Kyle Whittingham. I think Michigan's going to be better than this ranking, quite frankly. Again, this is the betting odds, right? Florida, I'm not sure I see that. Penn State there, Tennessee, Auburn, Utah. If I was going to look for a really long shot here, right? So 10,000 or better. Here's the teams that are 10,000 or better. So you bet 100, you win $10,000. SMU. No. Looking for somebody. I'm going to say Nebraska again. I say it every year. They're going to be relevant again, and they get laughed at. Boy, is there anybody over 10,000? Maybe I got to go over like 7,500. Arizona State lost their quarterback. North Carolina plus 30,000. Kentucky plus 40,000. Oklahoma State with their new head coach 40,000. Duke 40,000. Arkansas 40,000. I would say the only team over plus 10,000 I would even take a shot at was SMU, and that was the 10,000 on the dot. Over 5,000, you got Penn State, Tennessee, Florida, Auburn, Utah, Clemson, BYU. BYU would be my pick there in that group, and Missouri, who Prisbilla has transferred out. I'll have to take a look at where he went. I'm forgetting now. Chris Fgrave, that was Michael Dighton. Edwards, big Chris Prabula fan. What do we got here? I don't mean to leave your guys out. Big teams tried to take advantage, but it doesn't always work. In MLB, kits from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and Caribbean has not put out too many players. These contracts are in the millions. I'm not sure. Put out where? The Major League Baseball is full of players from all three of those specific examples and the Caribbean overall. So I'm not really sure where we're talking about. I mean, my gosh. And maybe you're just talking about recent years. So I'm not really sure. I'm kind of confused where you're going there, Carlos. So all these teams that are plus 5,000, Penn State, Florida, Tennessee, Auburn, Utah, BYU, Clemson, and Missouri. I would say BYU would be the team that I would take a flyer on. I think USC might be a decent flyer, but only 3,500. I feel like I should get better value for USC than that. Penn State plus 5,000. Matt Campbell hasn't proved a thing, and neither is Rocco Beck, who he's brought with him as his quarterback. So it's a little bit of chatter on some of the early odds on some teams as we go forward. What else do we want to talk about tonight? The portal itself. Let's look at some of these guys that have moved around. I got to find. I've got it here somewhere. I got too many windows open right now. That's my problem. Here we go. College portal. Let's look at football. And let's look at quarterback. If you can do that for me or not. So here are the quarterbacks that have moved, and maybe we should go by. I'm going to go by rankings. All right. Oh, this is the overall portal. The portal. This is the portal index. So this is the rankings by on 3. Indiana has the top portal ranking index score of 57, which don't ask me what the hell that means. It takes on all these different aspects, whether they're 4 stars, 5 stars, 3 stars, adjustment for NIL value and stuff. Anyway, the highest ranked programs: Indiana, Texas Tech is second, Texas A&M, Louisville, LSU. Surprisingly, with Lane Kiffin coming in there, all the way down here at 5. Lane Kiffin is notorious for being at the top of this list year in, year out. Virginia Tech, Houston, Arkansas, Notre Dame at 9. Notre Dame getting more and more involved in this portal. Texas at 10, UCLA at 11, Florida at 12, Miami all the way down at 16. But again, I think they brought in the most impactful guy in Mensa. I really do. I want to look at some of these. Yeah, let's get back to this here. So if I go just without positions, Sam Leavitt is ranked number 1 going to LSU from Arizona State. Cam Coleman, who's a sophomore, went from Auburn to Texas, is ranked 2nd. Human Medea, I can never say these guys' names, is 3rd. I don't agree with this. Like, Mensa's all the way down at 9. To me, Leavitt and Mensa are the 2 most impactful guys moving, and will have the biggest impact as we come in to next year. I think Sorsby will have another. Let me go to just quarterbacks right now and see where we go. Sam Leavitt's obviously still going to be at the top of this. Drew Messmaker, who I don't disagree, this will be a big move. He's gone from North Texas State to Oklahoma State with his coach. So he's a big move. Mensa's ranked 3rd, going from Duke to Miami. NIL value, by the way, for these guys: Sam Leavitt, $4 million. Messmaker, 2.5. Mensa, 2.2. Brandon Sorsby, who went from Cincinnati to Texas Tech, also an impact move, by the way, 3.1 million. Byron Brown, another guy who followed his coach from South Florida to Auburn, is getting 1.9. Josh Hoover, who I just mentioned, getting 2.3 to move from Texas Christian, TCU, to Indiana. Dylan Raiola, who we all know, didn't live up to the expectations at Nebraska, is going to Oregon, where he's going to sit now because Moore is not leaving. We don't know about his NIL money. We don't know about Longstreet, who left USC rather to go to LSU. He's going to sit behind Leavitt. Who's somebody else? DJ Langway going to Baylor from Florida is a big move. No word on his NIL money. Rocco Beck followed his coach, Matt Campbell, to Penn State. Look at some of the other impact players among the. the quarterbacks. Bo Prabula, who I mentioned earlier, has gone to Virginia from Missouri. Better quarterback than you think. I think that's a really good move for Virginia, by the way. Anybody else here that I'm all that interested in? Those are really the biggest names. There's a ton of guys. I mean, every year there's going to be just a ton of guys now. Running backs, we'll focus on the skill positions right now. Caleb Hawkins going from North Texas to OSU, again, following his coach. We're going to see a lot of that. Hollywood Smothers goes to Texas. Where'd he go from? NC State to Texas. Really, those are the big names. Adam Muhammad. We don't have any information on any of these guys with NIL money. Wide receivers. Cam Coleman, I talked about, going from Auburn to Texas. Huge move. $2.9 million was his reported NIL commitment. Nick Marsh goes from Michigan State to Indiana. Big, again, I said quarterback was important. They've got to replace Amari Cooper, don't forget, at Indiana. Nick Marsh is a 4-star recruit. Cam Coleman is the only 5, by the way, in this list. Quincy Porter is going to go from Ohio State to Notre Dame. Again, a move to keep an eye on. DeAndre Moore from Texas to CU. Tragic what happened with them and their quarterback, by the way. Very tragic. And our thoughts and prayers go out to his family as well. Those are really the biggest names, though. So you saw that Indiana really looks like the big winner in this whole transfer portal situation. So something to keep an eye on. What is it, about 10 after? You guys take me where you want to go. If you got other things you want to talk about, bring them up, or because we're going to talk some college baseball right now. And we're going to take a look at the rankings and a little bit of some of the news from the week, which we'll start doing each week as we go forward. Let's look at the rankings real quick. Division I baseball. And we'll look at the women, too. We'll look at the softball, too. Number 1 this week, 33-2. Danny Fuller's UCLA Bruins. Georgia Tech at 30-5. By the way, Georgia Tech moved up 1. North Carolina moves up from 6 to 3. No surprises here. Texas at 4. Georgia at 5. Oregon State, a bit of a surprise at number 6. Coastal Carolina, who's had some really good years recently. They have 9 losses already, though. They're at 7. Florida State's at 8. Virginia's at 9. Texas A&M at 10. Alabama, involved in a bit of a scandal a couple of years ago in a game they had with LSU, is ranked at 11. USC at 12. We haven't heard a lot about USC in recent years. Very storied baseball program at USC, and it's good to see them back being relevant again. Auburn, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kansas. That's a name we aren't hearing every year in these baseball polls. Good for them. Oregon, Florida, UCF, Southern Miss, Arizona State. Great historical program as well, making a comeback. Boston College and Ole Miss round out the top 25. Nebraska and LSU fell out. On the women's side, in softball, that is, you got Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas Tech, Nebraska, Texas, Arkansas, Florida, Florida and UCLA. Be interesting. UCLA wins the women's basketball. Maybe they'll win the softball. Maybe they win the baseball. Another question that we'll keep talking about, too. Who is the next football and basketball? Who's the next team? It hasn't happened since Florida, and I want to say 2006 and 7, 2005 and 6, something like that, to I think 2006, for the basketball and the football teams to win in the same season, win the championship. Michigan, again, just seems to be loaded for bear to do this. You know, you look at these other teams we talked about in football being the prohibitive favorites. Ohio State, not that close in basketball. Notre Dame, light years behind in basketball. Indiana maybe could get it turned around with their second-year coach this year, and DeVry. Texas, Sean Miller's a great coach. Got them a lot further in the tournament than we thought they'd get. They could be closer to winning dual championships than we thought. Oregon, doubtful. Georgia, doubtful. LSU, they're going to win a national championship in football with Lane Kiffin. Just get used to that fact. Will Wade, I don't know that they're ever going to get to a national championship in Miami or in LSU. Miami is a one to keep an eye on. Basketball team not that far away. What a great one-year turnaround in Miami this year, basketball-wise. Texas Tech, Texas A&M. Texas Tech isn't that far away in basketball. Not that far away in football. That's a sleeper pick. I'm going to find a future bet on this. Make that happen. Yeah. Well, they're very close in football for sure. Michigan's a lot further along in basketball than Miami, but not that far away. I mean, they turned their season around. They were one of the worst teams in. Hold on, I want to see something here. They were one of the worst teams in college basketball. Certainly the worst team in the ACC. I don't think they won an ACC game 2 years ago. To win in 26 games, I think, this year. I mean, what a great turnaround. And if you remember, they talked Jai Lucas into leaving last year during Duke's playoff and NCAA run. I believe he left the team and went to Miami and started the rebuild right away. And it had great results. I mean, they were very high up in the ACC regular season standings, and they had a decent. I mean, they won a game or two. I think they might have won 2 games in the NCAA tournament. Team's not that far away. Good call. As I was probably saying the same thing, Carlos. The rest of these teams, I'm not seeing much. North Carolina, closer in basketball probably than football, and that's not saying a lot. Pittsburgh's never going to have a championship in either. Yeah. So I would say Miami, Texas, Michigan, obviously we missed out on. Texas Tech, Alabama. Let's not forget Alabama. Did we lose one of our feeds on Facebook? Looks like we did. No, maybe we're right. I don't know. Yeah, Alabama we can't leave out of this conversation either. So be very interesting to see who might be that next team that wins that. Good call, Carlos. What else did we have in college? Where'd you go? Anyway, we ran through the women's. We're good there. Any other news in college baseball to talk about? Guys, I came across another great clip of the great Augie Garrido, former coach at Cal State Fullerton and later even better coach with Texas. Won a bunch of NCAA championships. one of the best college coaches in baseball probably ever. I wish he'd gotten a shot in the majors like Tony Vitello's getting now. This guy is such a great leader of young men. And my wife, I'm watching an old clip because Augie's been gone a while now. He hasn't coached in, a long time, over a decade. But they showed one of his locker room tirades. And my wife is, I would never let my son play for that guy. And I said, watch this till the end. And he's berating these kids something terrible over losing a game. And he's telling them they're going to forget it. They're going to forget it. I played the clip one time. They're going to forget it in 30 minutes. I got to live with this, loss forever. And he berates him and he leaves the room and he comes back and he berates him some more. But then at the end, he leaves and he comes back again and he says, I failed you. He took them down, but then brought him back up. He ripped this guys to shreds and took them to the lowest point he could take them. Then he lifted them back up by telling them, yeah, all the stuff I just said is true, but I failed you. I've allowed things to reach this point. I've allowed you to not be the best you can be. And that stops now. I think they won about 12 games in a row after that. There's a great YouTube video about Augie and his career. Watch it, man. He might be my favorite college coach in any sport at any time. Great stuff. I don't know. What else you guys got? I don't have anything else. I'm about done. Next week, we're probably going to talk more NFL draft than we'll talk anything. As this seems to be a fluid situation. I'll give you all my first round draft picks next week. I'm going to be appearing on somebody's show on Wednesday night. And I feel bad because right now the name is slipping, but I will get you guys the information as soon as I have it. The time, I think it's going to be at 8:30 Eastern next Wednesday. Let me see if I can find it quick. So now I feel really bad that I'm not finding it. I probably won't because it was in a bunch of comments we were doing. Down, I'm going to have the name of the show here. Damn it. There's Reggie. Thanks for sending me that, Reggie. That's not the one, though. Yeah. I'll find it. And we'll talk more about it. So you guys can, if I can, I don't know if they broadcast on stream there. If I'm able to share that appearance, I will. They'll be talking NFL draft. I think they'll be doing tight ends that night. And I love that kid from Oregon, Sadiq. I want him to get to New England in the worst way, but it won't happen unless they trade up. I don't see that happening. So in any event, I guess we'll wrap it up a few minutes early tonight. I thank you guys. Been very, very, very engaged tonight, and I appreciate that. This show is, relies a lot on your guys' comments and my playing off those comments. You're my co-host on all my shows, other than the ones I do with Jack or sit on a round table. But this show, the Stream of Consciousness, a Major League Baseball update, I rely on you guys, and I thank all the groups that allow me to share this later. We've had some fun tonight, and we'll have some fun on Friday morning with Jack on the Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook, and the MLB update will be Friday afternoon. We'll talk a lot of baseball that day, and Jack and I will review the NBA playoffs matchups on Friday, and along with some Major League Baseball, maybe a little bit of draft stuff too. And then we'll be covering the draft live on the McGrath Podcast Network next Thursday night. So please join us. Bring some comments. I'll be sharing it to my platform, so you can be sure to check it out. Guys, Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks College Sports Huddle. I'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.